Well, welcome back, everyone. Boys and girls. As I listen to this thing, oh wait, I should probably show what the store looks like.
Driving that old car at least once more before winter. Down in the comments, we heard this story from the philosopher camp. A guy I worked with busted the dump it for a $5 tree removal.
Doesn't change, but they give us a discount on this. And one save the world pack.
Constantly complained about it being an eyesore, and they wanted him to park it somewhere they couldn't see it. They live in the mountains, so there's no HOA and no rules about where you can park on your property. So he kept the truck wherever he wanted it. One day, his neighbor came over and got nasty with him about it. So he painted a giant middle finger on the dump bed and raised it up so it was pointed right at their house. Maybe next time they'll mind their own business. Our next Reddit post is from Patient Adventurous. This happened when I, 8-year-old female at the time, was a junior in college. I had taken a long weekend trip to Florida with a friend of mine to visit her brother and to go to the Universal Studios Fright Night Halloween event.
I can't even hit cancel.
Awesome, by the way. We had an amazing trip, and we were on the plane about to hit. This was only my second time ever traveling by air. So there I was, just excited to be flying in my coach seat, waiting to take off. And we kept waiting. It became clear that there was some kind of problem with our plane, because the flight attendant started calling various passengers to exit to be placed on different flights so they could make their necessary. Eventually, after about 40 minutes, it was just my friend and I plus about 6 other people. And then it was our turn to leave the plane. We were sort of near the end of the group tromping back out to the waiting area. One couple, probably in their mid-50s, had stomped up ahead of us. And by the time my friend and I emerged from the gate entrance, the rude husband was already berating the pair of attendants, who, to their credit, remained poised and calm. They tried to reassure him, but he was talking over them. It's unacceptable. You better get me the same seats we had on that flight. This guy's been sitting in the front row of coach, the ones with no seats in front of him, and therefore the ones with extra legroom. By then, the rest of us had gathered around, and the attendants began addressing the whole group, offering reassurances, filling us in that there was a critical problem with the plane, which made me very glad for this change, despite the inconvenience. The rude husband kept going off throughout all of this, and when the attendants left to make arrangements for all of us, he and his wife sat there, and he continued to make commentary to his poor wife. Unacceptable. How dare they? They had better have some seats, and so on. Shortly, the attendants returned, and the man practically rushed them. I demand you make this right. The attendant smiled and said, "You guys are all set, sir." And she smiled at him specifically. "I'm very happy to tell you that we have a flight leaving shortly.
What is going on with my graphics right now? Jesus Christ.
Same seats that you had booked on the previous flight." "I should hope so. That's the least thing you could do," as he humbly returned to his seat. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just waiting. The attendant then turned to us and said, "And I'm happy to let everyone else know that you'll all be flying first class with us today." The rude husband was furious, and he immediately jumped up to ask why they weren't flying first class, while the rest of us just sat there in stunned glee. The attendant just informed the man that she'd given him his request, and then she didn't stick around for more abuse. The wait didn't take long, and soon my friend and I were boarded into the unicorn, thankful place that is first class. As a poor air travel newbie, this was like some kind of fantasy land. Huge seats, hot washcloths, and even though we were underage, we couldn't partake of a free cocktail. However, we did get to choose from a basket of Pepperidge Farm cookies, and we got a whole meal, which was truly delicious, with real crystal salt and pepper shakers at each place setting and actual metal cutlery. Meanwhile, the rude husband was irate. My friend and I were in the last row of first class, which only had about 8 seats, and we could hear him heaping abuse on the coach attendants, going off about how those kids don't deserve first class. We should have gotten them because we're old and we deserve respect, not some kids. Someone else who was in first class, not from our original plane, caught on, and he was quite tickled by the man's ire. Then the best part of all happened. One of the flight attendants from first class overheard the rude husband's tirade, with language specifically directed at my friend and me. Who do those kids think they... undress me and my friend. I'm sorry about that. Let me take care of this for you. Then he closed the curtain to the coach cabin. The rude husband happening, which made it even better. I got one last look at his red, irate face before he was gone forever. It was glorious. I have to wonder, okay,
What in the hell?
better, getting those first-class seats or watching that other guy not get first-class seats? Also, down in the comments, we have this story from Wapamonia. This reminds me of my first trip to Las Vegas back in the 90s. We got to our hotel at 1 in the morning, and at check-in, the people at the desk next to us were having a fit about being on the 10th floor, the same as their friends. The desk clerks had a little huddle, and ours came back, explained the situation, and said, "Would you mind terribly if we placed you a little higher up?" It's all the same to us, so we were gracious and accommodating. And we ended up with a stripped view suite at the top of the left floor pyramid. I really hope the folks next to us appreciated being down on the 10th floor with their friends. It's been 26 years, and I still think back on that night with delight. That was r/malicious.
Get me down there, Jesus
Like this
Christ.
content, check out my Patreon where I publish extra episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put on every single day. Welcome to r/Reddit. Answer the question. Redditors who are married to Karens, what's it like? Our first reply is from Panda Panda Yeah. Divorced Karen. Haven't had to see a manager since. Area You See replies, my mom is a literal Karen, as in, it's her name, but she's like a bizarro Karen. Constantly asked to speak with managers and supervisors and bosses. But when said managers arrive, she unloads about how the employee helping her out was fantastic, hardworking, and friendly. And then she'll spend 20 minutes trying to figure out if she and the manager know someone in common. 9 times out of 10 they do. As a kid it would embarrass me. As an adult, it's one of my favorite things about her. She makes people feel good about the work they do, and it's really special to watch how wonderful she makes people feel. Is this user's mom a new breed of Karen? The caring Karen? The Thug Muffin replies,
So damn lame.
was swarmed by alien slugs that
Do I really want to get you out there?
Controlled zombies. What would we do? In this How to Be video, we'll follow the small town sheriff, see if we can keep the worms out of our mouths, and ultimately attempt to beat the meat monstrosity and Slither. If you think you'd be one of the few survivors with your gray matter intact, tell me why in the comments. Statistically, most of you would have ended up in the back seat with a worm controlling your body. It's okay. With us happy to dole out mercy killing. Just don't expect a proper burial. We start out following 2 small town cops shooting the shit when a large meteor impacts behind them. When they, or the cameraman, or whoever it is, rushes over to investigate it, its shell opens, revealing red slithering giblets. The Blob was an infamous movie by then, and should have served as a prescient cautionary tale for those whose curiosity of the extraterrestrial tends to overcome their pragmatic fear of the unknown. The following morning, Starla's giving some thirsty-ass teenagers a lesson on Darwin's theory of evolution. Starla's the uninterested gold digger who shacked up with Grant, the town's rich man on the hill. He gets fed up with her never being in the mood and heads out for a walk to the bar to pick up other women. Brenda Montgomery, who had a crush on him back in the day, sees him all by his lonesome and makes a pass to shoot her shot. Grant could easily have checked him into the nice hotel room with a stock minibar, but Brenda wants to relive her youth by shagging in a swampy forest next to a tree carved out with her initials. Fun. Grant gets second thoughts about cheating on Starla. When he shakes off his fear goggles, he notices a gooey meteor egg out of the corner of his eye. This would be the cue to take your side piece to a hotel or crawl back into your dead bedroom. Despite Brenda's concerns, Grant presses onward with his drunken investigation.
Hello, open a chest, please.
The trail of slime leads them to an oversized, translucent slug worming around. Grant, deranged from his blue balls and careless from his drinking, starts poking it with a stick. I think it goes without saying that prodding sentient alien goo is a great way to end your bloodline.
I was Brenda, I'd be gone like the wind. Never there. I don't know anyone named Grant. I left the bar and went straight home. Per usual, nobody will believe anything you say about a giant slug shooting a parasite into Grant's stomach. Obviously, he's infected with something horribly insidious, and a lot of people in this town will die in gruesome ways as it infects more people. Since there's nothing you can really do about it, you might as well book a week-long trip to Hawaii while this thing runs its course. Once Grant turns into a zombie, or worse, the town is devastated, a band of survivors or the National Guard figures out a way to kill it, then you can come back with your lay flower necklace acting all surprised. After the parasite slithers into his medulla oblongata, Grant, or more accurately, the thing that took over him, wakes up and heads home to engorge on all the meat in their fridge. This alien's hungry. The next morning, Grant sets up his lair in the shed and heads inside to find Starla trying to make up for rejecting him last night. To Starla, Grant only seems mildly off. There's no red flags, and a bug bite on Grant's chest isn't anything to be seriously alarmed about. The love is that this parasite isn't transmitted through bodily fluids. Starla heads to work, glowing from the amazing morning she had with Grant. Who knew alien parasites were so charming and passionate, and must have evolved to possess these skills as a way to disarm and isolate new hosts it can breed with. Unless Starla can pick up on his new idiosyncrasies, like all the meat he's buying, what the lock on the basement door is for, and why their dog suddenly went missing, she's gonna end up as an alien egg factory. She hops in the shower to get ready for the Deer Cheer event later that evening. Grant's tentacles get excited at the thought of joining her, but he stuffs it back in his shirt and runs off telling her that he'll meet her there. Close call. Not sure why Grant thing aborted. If he attacked Starla in the shower, she'd have nowhere to run. Maybe his tentacle wasn't fully formed and ready for plumbing yet. Maybe Grant and the parasite are cohabitating and Grant was able to persuade his alien counterpart to spare Starla. What an incredibly horrifying situation to be in. A dark passenger fighting a parasite inside you for control over your own body. Your mind desperately trying to overpower the nerve impulses the parasite is sending your body in an attempt to command it to assault your loved one. The alien urges to reproduce are too strong. Starla won't be the one they consummate with. The lonely bar wench will have to do. Brenda couldn't have known that was going to happen.
If I could just, Jesus Christ.
Escape from once he pinned her down. Starla comes back home that night to find Grant swollen up and misshapen, which he unconvincingly explains away as a bee sting. He says he already saw the doctor about it and got a prescription, a lie that Starla will easily uncover. With his condition dramatically worsening by the hour, he won't be able to keep his secret from her for much. Starla's able to survive the night since Grant ain't already gone to host for his baby. Another strike of luck. She heads into work early the next day and makes a call to the doctor about Grant's condition. The doc says he hasn't seen her husband in over a year. Her husband is acting gross bug bite on his chest, and now he's lying about why his head looks like Glenn after Negan took a couple swings with Lucille. I think I'd call him out and stay in my son's place until he gets checked out by a doctor. No way am I going home to that. Starla's more sympathetic to his condition than I am, until the cops show up and tell her that she was last seen entering Brenda's home the night she went missing. That and their dog went missing around the same time. Now I definitely wouldn't be sitting on the couch waiting for him to come home. Starla gets curious about their locked up basement, cracks it open with a baseball bat to take a peek.
Advanced Same Day has the parts you need. Fast. Delivered today.
Hello? Where are they?
Yep, time to leave. It's tempting to dial 911
What the hell?
like Starla does, but considering he could be back at any moment, she needs to prioritize getting to a safer location first. Now it's
I could just get on that, thank you.
Starla badges his swollen head to the nightstand and fends off his umbilical cord long enough for the cops to show up. Bill and the other cops are too stunned by Grant's mutilated face and tender alarm to open fire on him, and he escapes out the back door to God knows where. I can understand how they'd hesitate to pull the trigger on what days ago used to be an upstanding councilman that they knew. 3 days later, the police are still searching for the Grant squid thing.
What the hell?
Grant went nuts and has a severe deformity.
You're so
That's
fucking
when they
cool.
know how dangerous he really is. The cops get their
Look at him, standing completely still. What a damn loser.
Check it out. Grant's been busy slaying dogs and feasting on their innards. What's most concerning, though, is how he's able to drive
Nope.
each 1,200-pound
Not again.
cow off into the forest without any machinery. If his giant bendy arm back in Starla's attack was any indication, he's been cultivating a substantial amount of mass from eating all the farm animals he's been hauling off for days. Brenda may have been food, too, except that Grant's been solely on a ribeye and dog meat diet so far. Brenda's probably
Anyway,
infected and turning
I
into
guess I'm
something
gonna just play
grotesque
solos,
like
because
Grant.
squads ain't gonna
Using
do it
the
either.
locations of the attacks,
Or
the cops
duos.
triangulate his position to somewhere in the forest between the town's ranches. Grant's not being inconspicuous or unpredictable. All three ranches were hit in a directional pattern. The next one he hits should be the Schrute-Myers Ranch. They gather up a posse and raid the evidence locker for some extra firepower. Damn, how'd they get a G36K? I'll be taking that one. They neglect to take a hand grenade they confiscated from some crazy who wanted to use it to fish for trout. I would also be taking that with me, because the Grant thing has to be utterly...
I don't have any money on my car, but I have physical money.
Bill is going to want to make sure he's at the back of the
I'll go to the
formation
store
without
tomorrow.
untrained the rest of them
Go
are.
pick
Aren't there
up
qualified hunters that could bring with them
a
instead
card.
of this ragtag group of undisciplined rednecks? Starla
Just
heard about the
'cause.
raid and somehow convinces Bill that in order to find Brenda, they need to capture Grant alive. And the only way to capture Grant is if
How much
she is
ammo?
there to bait him. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that Brenda's dead or wishing she was. Starla just needs to stay home while they lynch her husband. If she comes, her emotional reactions could jeopardize the ambush. Bill and his posse lie in wait at the Schrute-Myers farm until nightfall. As expected, Grant slithers out of the tree line to butcher another cow. This would be the perfect time for a hunter to blow his brains out the back of his skull with a .338 Win Mag. Quick and easy. Everyone's still too stunned by Grant's appearance to take the shot. Starla runs after him to stop him from getting away. She pleads for him to come get checked out at a hospital. Like anyone, including Grant, thinks that's an option. Seeing how he decapitated a cow with his tentacle whip, attempting to capture Grant is also out of the question. This is the perfect opportunity to kill him.
Grant, marriage is a sacred bond. Come with us.
Here's what Bill needs to do.
We're married.
One of the boys
Who
runs
said
up
that
on
to Du
Grant
Bois?
with his chrome deagle, demanding that he shows him where Brenda is instead of immediately firing like he should. A bad move. This thing is super strong, has tentacles that could whip at you and might be able to take some hits. Not that he'll be hitting anything, one-handing his .50. Grant is not going to be sitting down over a pot of tea with his lawyer discussing the conditions of his surrender. Whoever is your best shot needs to put one between Grant's eyes while his head is popped out. They might only get one shot.
Jesus.
It's too close on now. The cops chase him into the swamps where they find a barn that smells like Satan's egg. So here's a woman crying inside, probably Brenda. Bill loses the rock, paper, scissors game and has to take points. The good news, they found Brenda. The bad news, she looks like Captain Keyes after the flood got to him. There is no way I'd be getting anywhere remotely close to her. Judging by the convulsions she's having, I'd guess that she's a carrier form pregnant with Grant's squid baby. Bill and his crew needs to step the back before she bursts open. And why is nobody guarding their six? Did everyone forget that Grant is still out there and that he might be angry when he sees you all waving guns around in his baby mama's face? He then, no joke, tells Brenda that they need to take her to a hospital. I don't even know what to say to that, other than, no. I think if I was in that group, I'd toss a cigarette lighter into the hay next to her and lock the barn door. Bill dives onto Starla and covers their mouths to avoid involuntarily ingesting the giant larva. Laying down like that was a risky play when you don't know if the larva can weasel their way through your skin, or if they'll give up and slither away like they did. Mayor Jack and one other cop made it out alive too, but the rest of their posse is infested. Seeing what happened to Brenda and Grant post-infection, they're beyond saving. Unless he wants to deal with a whole lot more Grant things or larva-producing carriers like Brenda, he's going to need to take them right down. Bill and Starla need to start driving around town, warning everyone that dangerous parasites like the ones that infected Grant are everywhere. To arm up, stay alert and not let them in or around your mouth. Everyone already knows that Grant became disfigured and insane after getting infected. I think everyone would take this warning seriously. While they are warning everyone, the mayor needs to call for some backup from nearby towns. That last engagement send their members out substantially. If they're going to have a shot at beating this thing, they need a lot more trained officers and firepower. Bill's too slow. The larvae are already in town, slithering under the covers and into the bathtubs of unsuspecting townsfolk. know how strong these slugs are. It's probably a lot harder to pull them off than it looks. Best not to underestimate them. She runs over to warn her mom and siblings, only to find them choking.
We danced, played a little volleyball, talked a lot about the aliens. Like a lot about the aliens. She was really chill. You are out there. Thanks for being a listener. And for filling me in on our new alien friend.
Down alien worms with more coming up the stairs and through the windows. Her only option is to parkour off the roof and seal herself inside their truck until the bugs move on, after which she could just hold her hand over her mouth or gag herself somehow in order to call the police and get the car key. Bill's still wasting precious time in the barn trying to triage the damned. He decides to split up and go lone wolf into the town while Starla, the lady cop, and the mayor stand around watching a friend slowly die. Before he leaves, he hands Starla his Model 1200 pump-action shotgun. Handing an untrained lightweight woman a giant shotgun isn't the best idea. He'd have been better off giving it to the lady cop, handing her his pistol while he takes the shotgun, or giving her the Colt Commando with a round in the chamber and the safety off. Why Bill or any of the others didn't pick up the automatic weapons is beyond me. And of course, nobody is paying attention to the bodies that the slugs wormed into after everything they've witnessed. Yes, Starla, putting your gun down and turning your back on them to wet a rag from their foreheads is a totally sane thing to do. How the fuck are you still alive? Everyone that sucked down the spaghetti is now turning into a half-ranch parasite-controlled zombie. Apparently, it wasn't as obvious to the lady cop who walked right into a group of them who then took her hostage. Right before she can get her gun out, the kid cop projectile vomits acid bile onto her face.
Oh my god. Oh hell no.
Starla
Ooh,
finally
that is
realizes
awful
these
looking.
aren't her friends anymore. Grabs the shotty and decapitates Wally before he shoots his acid load on her too.
I got the balls!
Starla doesn't understand that the pump action has to be pumped. She just pulls the trigger, expecting another shell to have magically loaded itself into the chamber. As all dumbasses in movies do, she drops the only effective weapon she has and runs off. Really though, this was Bill's fault. He shouldn't have split up, and if he was, giving her the lighter recoiling self-loaded pistol or AR-15 would have made much more sense. Bill arrives at the Screwmeyer's home and finds the girl in the truck being assaulted by her family. He's the most clueless, naive sack of shit sheriff I've ever seen. How, after everything you've seen, are you still acting like everyone who's caught a bad cold and needs to visit urgent care? One of the bug brains shovels him over the head, luckily not hard enough to knock him out. Bill shoots his foot to the hip and narrowly escapes into his cop car with the last Screwmeyer girl. Instead of peeling out of there, he sits parked with zombies trying to break through his windows while he radios his friends.
Oh, junk.
There's no answer, but seconds later, he sees them getting chased up the In my opinion, he should have been going off on the zombie. He should have taken them back to the shed, grabbed the rifles, and mowed them all down. That or put his front bumper to use. Now they're all going to start attacking other innocent, unarmed people. Bill radios his dispatch lady, Shelby, and tells her to call the CDC. He doesn't tell her why, what's going on, or that she's
Where's the car?
mouth so the parasites don't kill her. He only asks her if she's drug. This is where the official warning was Shelby being caught completely off guard. Bill radios Shelby again, checking on the CCTV call. It's clear that she's one of them now. Bill isn't paying attention to the road and gets blindsided by a bunch-driven truck. The mayor and Starla are completely knocked out. Bill is
Leave me alone, dude. I know you tried to pick me up.
apparently had the close encounter with the alien and was formed some sort of connection with it. Bill asks her if she thinks Terry Grant, the head bug, will shut all the zombies down too. I don't think she would know, man. Realistically, these things are separate biological entities, rapidly fragmented and transmitting consciousness. There's no connection between the realistic Grant and their be related to them as Grant. They might be leaderless and lost, but they wouldn't be able to bust or anything. Then again, this is a dumb movie. Probably almost a graphic thing. Block of Grant, if you can find them. It's a very well thought out plan. I'm sure this is like the invasion of the body snatchers, where you could act like one of them, they wouldn't attack you. I'm in the area of that, but for the shot. I still think hotwiring a car, going back to the shed to get guns, and then driving to the next town over to warn them they will recruit some help.
It's a low move.
Idea. be leaving Starla and the mayor behind, but you do have every reason to believe that they're already dead. It's too much of a risk to save them. If Bill dies, nobody will be left alive to warn surrounding towns. I would just come with him. It's not like he's safer in the tree line
Fuck outta here.
than the slugs slithering around. Bill makes it inside. He just tries the phone. These scrappy phones are from the line. Back to plan A. He really needs to have his gun drawn, or preferably a large blade to quietly subdue Shelby if he's still with you. Was as unexpected as getting assaulted by a zombie deer. How the hell did it even get inside the police station? Bill, you gotta stop giving guns to people that don't know how to use them. Jesus Christ, how is this guy the same sheriff? Finding Grant couldn't be
You are so annoying. Go away.
congregating at his original home. They spot Mayor Jack getting dragged off into the feeding pit in Grant's basement. Too late to save him. He was pretty much fucked after getting knocked out in the car crash. Now he's one of them, feeding on rotting corpses, partially digested from it. I'm all for cannibalism out of necessity, but this is just gratuitous. Bill and Kylie make it to the fence line of Grant's property. Grant's home. He's definitely cultivated mass. Dude makes Jabba the Hutt look fit and kempt. He's not feeding on dog meat anymore. He's absorbing the slug zombies. I'm doubting the grenade's effectiveness on something of that size. The benefit to this monstrosity is that it's too big and slow to move. If you can light the house on fire while simultaneously entering it with a grenade, that might be enough to kill it. Bill spots Starla walking towards him. He doesn't look infected. Getting her out beforehand without getting bisected by a tendril is going to be tricky. Grant
God
will
damn it.
outright kill Starla if he's kept her alive this long. If Bill can open up an exit for her to escape through,
Pick it up, G.
container full of gas. Starla, not knowing Bill and Tyler survived, came up with her own plan. She whispers nothing in his ear. You shake him with the handle of the phone. Yeah, her situation is pretty bad. Time for the brain.
Oh,
Full wind and going live. Final boss.
really killing me.
Gone for the brain. Bill and Kylie here start making full wind and going live. The final boss, and Bill pulls the pin on the grenade, only for it to get whipped out of his hand. Running after a grenade with a 4-inch second fuse to re-throw it is a
Hello?
monstrously stupid idea. He picks up the grenade and immediately gets projected through the window. It's a good thing he let go of it, and it rolled into the pool. I was expecting him to end up like that guy in Saving Private Ryan, trying to put the short fuse sticky nade on the Tiger tank. It's safe to say Bill is only alive due to his thick plot armor. Kylie just stands there while all this is going on, with a pistol in her hand that she could have emptied into Grant's skull, waiting until it's her turn to get bitch slapped across the room. The Grant thing manages to shove one umbilical cord into Bill's chest, pumping him with God knows what. Bill catches the other tentacle and, noticing the leaking propane tank that God himself rolled over to him, hooks it up, pumping propane into Grant's stomachs. By another grace of God, there was a pistol lying right next to Starla, which she uses to open Grant's belly full of gas.
Jesus Christ.
Exposing the gas to the sparks which angels themselves were sprinkling onto the meat pit. Shooting out a window or driving the car through the side of the house for Starla to jump through and lighting the house on fire by tossing a Molotov cocktail out the driver window would have been...
Can I move, please? Hello?
Would have ended up with a $10,000 medical bill for pumping out Grant's bile and sewing your gut shut.
What the hell is going on with this thing?
Somehow severs a physics-defying neural connection between him and his minions, neatly tying up all loose ends. Convenient, but realistically, they would have had to mop up the rest with conventional firepower. How could an organism, an entire race, survive for billions of years with a central point of failure like that? Oh, Kylie's still alive. And Bill. We know he won't be turning because Grant's dead, and as Kylie somehow knows, you need both you to get all wormy. I'd hang on to that pistol just in case, though. With Bill, Starla, and Kylie walking over hundreds of worm-brained corpses to the hospital in the next town 10 miles over, because driving isn't something they thought of. Let's recap the pivotal points where different decisions involved their who lived and died. It didn't really matter that Grant was the one who poked the slug. Eventually, the slug would have found a target host, who then found a breeder host. attack and witness combustion was unpreventable. Bill's posse should have been able to mow the Grant thing down in the Scrutmeyer's farm right off the bat. This would have, albeit...
Why can't I move?
...spread the thing in the larva slug's lives immediately, saving all the townsfolk and the posse's lives. All said and done, I think we could have beaten the meat monstrosity from Slither. Thanks for watching. And remember, if alien bug-controlled people are invading your town, it's better to shoot first and ask questions later.
Morning already? Taco Bell's toasted breakfast burritos will get you out of bed with fluffy eggs.
Can I please move? I'm about to just drop this shit because honestly. Give me this.
If you got stuck in a remote Alaskan village that hungry vampires descended upon, what would you do? In this How to Beat video, we'll follow the Barrows townsfolk, see if we can make better decisions, and ultimately attempt to beat the bloodthirsty vampires in 30 Days of Night. If you think you have a better way, if you like these How to Beat videos, consider liking and subscribing. We start out getting a little backstory on a town full of innocent people who are about to be massacred. It's a real town called Barrow, Alaska, with about 4,000 residents. They go on to
How the hell?
The northernmost
What can I do with these out here?
Surrounded by 80 miles of roadless wilderness. And after 30 days of their winter season, it's completely cut off from the rest of the world.
Even a damn jump
Since
pad.
it is a real town, I think we can dig up some more background on it that might be helpful. The movie is correct about it being the northernmost town, as well as having 80 miles of roadless, snowy tundra between it and the next closest town. But their point about the town being completely cut
baby,
off
you
for
scared
3
out of
days
me.
of the polar night is
Go away.
because the town is isolated by roadless tundra and the resupply by truck is treacherous. The only real way the town gets food and supplies is by plane. Every ounce of food is
God.
which is why flights to Barrow are completed using planes that are half passenger seats and half cargo space. Multiple flights come in and out of the Wiley Post Will Rogers Memorial Airport on a daily basis, and they don't
I can't
stop
even
because
shoot 'em
it's
right now.
dark outside. Boats do supply the town as well, but only in the summer when the ice surrounding the coast is broken and melted enough. It's possible for trucks to make the drive to neighboring towns
Like, are you fucking serious?
if there was an emergency and a bad storm grounded all the aircraft, or all the pilots were murdered, you could still make it out of town to get help. This is good news for our protagonists, because they aren't as cut off from the world as they think. It's not all good news, though. The Polar Night is not 30 days long, as the movie suggests. It's actually over
Dumbass.
60 days long. The vampires have...
You are a
the
fucking
time for
idiot.
their feeding frenzy. I don't think the vampires will need this much time, though. If they do things right, they likely could suck out everyone's blood in less than a week. I might play both sides on this one, because the vampires are probably going to do some dumb shit. A mysterious ship arrives at the coast, probably around the Elson Lagoon area, which would be remote enough that nobody would see the ship. They likely chose this area because if the ship was seen, people would be suspicious of it. Like we talked about earlier, normal ships need to wait until a narrow window of time in the summer when the ice is melted enough for the ship to get close enough to drop supplies off. The next morning, Josh Hartnett and Crixus find a bunch of satellite phones torched in the snow. For all they know, it could just be thieves, vandals, or pranksters. With some of the townsfolk on the fictional last flight out before the fictional 30-day polar night, the strange happenings in the small town continue. Someone is shanking all the sled dogs. I get the vampire strategy of eliminating any transportation or communication out of the town, but killing sled dogs? Is that really important at this stage? What dumb son of a bitch would try to escape a vampire attack on a dog sled with a bunch of howling Alaskan Malamutes at a breakneck speed of 5 miles per hour? The vampires' next objectives are to have the human destroy the town's helicopter and cell tower right before the polar night begins. I gotta commend the vampires the cell tower first, obtaining and destroying any satellite phones would have been a much more difficult task, since it's the only remaining means of communication and people will hold on to them tightly. Destroying the sat phones would not raise any immediate red flags, and all you need to do to cut the town's comms is take out the cell tower. Shortly after losing comms, the town will send people out to get help via plane or helicopter, so disabling these aircraft quickly is important. Once that option is off the table, the town starts focusing on sending some truck drivers to nearby towns to get help. I don't think the vampires would need to worry about a mass exodus Too Fast, Too Furious style, because it's risky and there's no need to if you only need a few drivers to make the trip. While it's a roadless tundra, I'm sure there are established routes in and out of town. All you need to do is have some vampires guard these routes and kill any escapees. The next problem is the daily resupply flights. Software, if you destroy the landing planes, the airlines will be alerted immediately. It might take a few days of no contact and planes being destroyed for the National Guard to be called in, but a few hundred soldiers with Blackhawks showing up will definitely ruin the vampire party. Damaging the runway could be a way to get the town to suspend flights for a while, but when the town survives on that runway, it'll get fixed quickly. As a vampire attacking this town,
keep it going.
Realistically, the siege can only last for years. But this is a fictional world where no flights come and go for a month, so let's just continue with that premise. The remaining problem is world awareness. Because every person you fight or slash gets infected with a vampire virus,
I'm getting off.
which spreads evidence of your existence.
I'm getting off.
Leaving bodies in the open
I'm
where
getting
the
the fuck
sunlight will
off,
vaporize them
honestly.